Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the York County Community Foundation's annual meeting. I'm Bill Hartman. I'm the outgoing board chair, and I have the privilege of opening tonight's event. The annual meeting of the Community Foundation has definitely evolved into one of the premier events of our community. And the attendance we have tonight certainly validates that and validates the role that we play in the community. We're very much honored by your presence here tonight and hope you enjoy the meeting. One of the reasons we've been able to upgrade these meetings, make them more effective, is that we've always had a good stable of sponsors who are willing to step up and help us with the costs so we can do it right, bring in good speakers, and put on professional quality productions. And our great group of sponsors this evening includes Barley Snyder, Barton Associates, Fulton Bank, Smith, Mayer and Little, the Stewart Companies, and Wagman. So I'd like to ask you to please join me in thanking this great group of sponsors. We also are very pleased to have with us tonight some really key leaders who helped the foundation reach the levels that it has reached. I'll start with past presidents and board chairs, so please stand when I call your name. Bill Anstein, past board chair. Dick Brown, past president. Ben Hoover, past board chair. Dave Kennedy, past board chair. Bill Curlin, past board chair. Bill's already standing. Dave Meckley, past board chair, and Eric Menzer, past board chair. And also delighted to have our first executive director, Carolyn Steinhauser, who put us on such a good path here. So please join me in thanking this group of leaders. This group of leaders not only helped us, they're still working in our community to help improve York, so it shows the kind of quality people that they are. We also have some elected officials that are with us tonight. If you're an elected official, would you please stand up? Doug, I see you. Henry, are there others? Please give them a nice round of applause. Thank you for being here. And we did want to acknowledge tonight that our thoughts are with the York City Police Force and the family of Officer Sable at this time. We are grateful to all of our community's first responders, and they're a wonderful group of people. Well, for me personally, this is a historic annual meeting of the York County Community Foundation because my 9-year tenure with the Community Foundation comes to an end. And while I will definitely miss my association with this group, that sadness is far outweighed by a sense of gratitude that I have for being able to spend 9 years with an organization of this level of quality. It's been an honor and it's a privilege, and to be able to do it in my hometown of York has really been a dream come true. But I think more than anything, as I look back over the last 9 years, I've been just so overwhelmed and so impressed by the magnitude of good that this institution actually does for our community. So what I wanted to do was, first of all, reflect on why that is, and then secondly, reflect a little bit on what are some of the things about the foundation that impressed me most. And as I thought about why the foundation has been so successful, I think it's because of how hard and how effective the people in this room have worked to create the organization in the form that it's in and with the culture that it has. If you stop and think about it, this foundation has been built and supported collaboratively by community leaders, by board and committee members, by financial and professional advisors, by donors, by not-for-profit organizations, and by an outstanding staff. So in reality, all of you and your predecessors over the last 57 years have built York County Community Foundation into the largest and the fastest growing community foundation in central Pennsylvania. And for anyone in the room who might have Lancaster envy, yes, this does mean we are a bigger community foundation than Lancaster's. We are a faster growing community foundation than Lancaster's, and we are a better community foundation than Lancaster's. So give yourselves all a round of applause. What you all have built is really, really special. And while there's so many things that the foundation is good at and that have impressed me, I want to comment tonight on just four, because I think they're things that are really, really helping our community. Number one, foundation is really good at helping donors make their charitable contributions in a way that both meet their charitable giving goals as well as help our community improve. That's pretty powerful. And we've got a staff at the foundation that really understands the community, what the important causes are, what the different not-for-profit organizations are doing. And I hope you're all talking to our foundation staff about how you can use your philanthropic dollars to best create the York County that you want to see and to achieve the goals that you have for charitable giving. So that's number one. Number two, the foundation has created the best possible endowed home for legacy bequests. And this is so important because it means that donors can have their charitable goals met not just during their lifetime, but forever. The investment management is good, the governance is sound, the organization is sound. It's a great place you can leave your legacy with the utmost confidence. Number three, the foundation is getting better every day at making grants strategically in order that they have the highest possible impact on community improvement. If you look at the work our board is doing, our executive committee, our distribution committee, and our executive staff, they're really honing their strategic skills in deciding how to use grant money to have the most improvement. This is really critical because the reality is there is only so much money to go around. While we're building it every year, we have to use it as wisely as we can. And lastly, on number four, working with community leaders, funders, and other organizations in York in a collaborative and collective way to advocate and to create positive change. This is so important because York has now made the transition from leadership by iconic individuals to leadership by institutions and organizations. So it's very important that these institutions and organizations all work together to avoid duplication, to pool resources, and to exert the leverage we have to get the best results for our community. And the Community Foundation is good at that, and it stands ready to work with all the organizations in York County to help achieve those goals. So the foundation is in a very, very good place now. I couldn't be happier with what it's accomplished, but I'm even happier yet about what I see as a very bright future for our foundation, and that's going to lead to a very bright future for our community. Under the executive leadership of Jane Conover and the board leadership of Jeff Lobach, we have visionary leaders who are proven and are going to take this organization a long way. And of course, there's one other reason we can be confident in the future of this organization, and that is due to its financial standing. The Community Foundation's financial condition is strong, it's well capitalized, it's liquid, its business model has been constructed to be perpetually sustainable. So when making not just your lifetime charitable contributions to the foundation, but your legacy contributions to the foundation, you can know that they will be well managed for ever, and that is a long time. We've got a great organization and a template and business model you can be proud of. In fact, our treasurer, Hank Christ, who has also chaired our Finance Committee, is now going to bring you up to date on some of the key strengths of our financial area. And in closing, I just want to thank all of you personally from the bottom of my heart for 9 very great and rewarding years. Thank you all very much.
Good evening. 2017, a record-breaking year for your community foundation. Thanks to many of you in this room, we surpassed the $150 million mark in assets and awarded the highest level of grants in our history. Give yourselves a hand. When you refer to the insert in the back pocket of the annual report, which is at your seats, you'll note the following financial statement information summarized from our audited financial statements. As of the end of 2017, the Community Foundation stored total assets of $154.9 million, which is an increase of nearly $20 million over last year. The increase is a combination of $8 million in new gifts received in 2017 and our excellent portfolio return last year of 15.7%. Ultimately, this outstanding return means more money to grant to nonprofits throughout York County, making our community more vibrant. In 2017, $5.4 million in grants went back into our community to fund programs and services for the people of York County. As stewards of charitable funds, we recognize our dual responsibility, investing capital to honor our donors' legacies and perpetuating our ability to support the nonprofits working to better the communities where we all live and work. Because of the powerful portfolio strategy, outstanding industry expertise, and local oversight, we are confident that our endowment is well-positioned to meet our investment return goals. We would like to acknowledge the work of RKL LLP, our auditors. We are pleased to announce that our 2017 audited financial statement received an unqualified opinion, which is the best opinion possible. Finally, a hearty thanks to George Dvorak, our CFO, and the entire staff at the Foundation for their incredible expertise and support. And this is respectfully submitted for the last time as your treasurer. And it's been my pleasure to serve you and to serve York County. Thank you. And now I'd like to yield the microphone to Jeff Lobach, our incoming chairman.
Thank you, Hank. Don't wander off. Our foundation has a very capable and dedicated staff, but essential to its functioning are our volunteers. Our volunteers serve at many levels. Today, we welcome our 2 newest board members. If they'll stand when I mention their names. Liz Dellinger, who is Director of Treasury Management at York Traditions Bank, and Mike Glazer, CEO of Wagman, Inc. Thank you. This evening, we also recognize 4 longtime members of our Board of Directors who are retiring after many years of service. Our board members bring a variety of expertise, experience, and contacts to the Foundation. Their collective time and talents are harnessed to help the Foundation be the best steward of the legacies that are entrusted to us, and also to have the greatest impact on the community we care so much about. Tonight, we will honor each of our retiring board members with a book to be donated to Martin Library in the director's name. We begin with one of our directors who's not able to be with us this evening, Dave Davidson. During his 9 years on the board, Dave chaired the Agricultural Land Preservation Committee and the Foundation's Sustainable Energy Committee. Because of Dave's devotion to these important aspects of the Foundation's program, we are giving in his honor the book, This Blessed Earth, A Year in the Life of an American Family Farm. Dave's passion for preserving the agricultural fabric of our community, a value important to us all, will long be remembered. Hank Christ, who just shared with you our wonderful financial news, has served on the Foundation's board since 2009. In 2010, Hank was elected treasurer of our board and has chaired the Finance Committee. He's also served on our executive, sustainable energy, gift acceptance, and investment committees. Hank has presided over a time during which the Foundation's financial picture has reached new highs, and we've enjoyed stable growth. Hank also managed to avoid any recessions during his tenure. He says timing is everything. We will be honoring Hank by placing a book entitled Leadership Step by Step, Become the Person Others Follow, as a tribute to his skillful leadership on the board and in the community. Thank you, Hank. Another familiar face to nearly everyone in this room is Michael Haiti. Michael is responsible for creation of the Han Home Fund at the Foundation. During his time on the board, he stewarded the Han Home Committee as chair to continue the care of the former Han Home residents and also to launch the Foundation's vital Embracing Aging initiative. Michael's key strategic mind informed our selection for him, which is the book Creating Great Choices, A Leader's Guide to Integrative Thinking. Thank you, Michael. As Michael steps off our board, he will continue to be a factor in philanthropy as he has taken on leadership as executive director of the Powder Mill Foundation, one of the greatest forces for good in the community. We have one other retiring director whom we must recognize, although this parting will indeed be sweet sorrow for many of us who have been involved in the Foundation over the last decade. Bill Hartman's service to the Foundation calls to mind one of those rare, serendipitous occasions where an individual's unique gifts coalesce with the needs of an organization and the demands of a moment in time. Bill is a York County boy growing up in the northern part of the county. He embarked on a successful banking career here, which then took him to larger cities and other states. Along the way, he served on and chaired large corporate boards and boards of major institutions. As he sought a meaningful transition to his productive work life in the financial sector, Bill turned his eyes back home at a time when our Foundation needed a bold, decisive, and innovative leader to take us to the next level. Bill shepherded through our board of directors a daring new mission, calling for us to preserve our traditional role as the community steward while adopting impactful community initiatives to create, and I quote, a vibrant York County. Bill saw the Foundation's resources grow by $64 million during his 6 years as our president. He spearheaded our initiative for York City's schools, encouraged our involvement in revitalizing downtown, initiated our Embracing Aging program, and brought the Memorial Health Fund under the Foundation's auspices. When the time drew near to turn over Bill's responsibilities as president to Jane, his extremely able successor, we asked Bill if he would volunteer, first as vice chair and then as chair of our board of directors. He willingly accepted, and over the past 2 years has guided the Foundation as the leader of our volunteer board of directors to reach unprecedented heights in resources, capacity, and impact. We observed earlier at the last board meeting chaired by Bill, just this afternoon, that his role over this period of time has been transformative for the Foundation, and I think an argument can be made for the community. During this time, Bill's been a patient and insightful mentor to Jane and me, and to many of those involved in the Foundation. His departure marks the end of a remarkable era for this organization and the commencement of a new epoch, during which Bill's example will be an inspiration to our professional staff and our volunteer leadership as the foundation pursues its mission to even greater heights. There remains much for us to do. Among Bill's many passions is music. His role as chair of the board of the York Symphony has been nearly as transformative as has his role here with the foundation. For that reason, we chose The Great Jazz and Pop Vocal Albums as our book to honor Bill, in the hope that those who read it will enjoy music just as much as he does. Dave, who's not here, Hank, Michael, and Bill, we thank you for your service to our community and for all you've done in your time with our organization to make this community a more vibrant place to live, to work, to play, to start a business, to raise a family, and make a home. Thank you all. I'd now like to call on our first vice chair, Krista Snyder-Dar.
Tonight is the night to officially recognize and honor the most recent members of our 1749 Society. Named for the year in which York County was founded, the 1749 Society was created to recognize those individuals whose estate planning includes a gift to the York County Community Foundation. This bequest ensures that each donor's charitable wishes are carried out forever. The 1749 Society is a powerful planned giving tool that creates a vibrant and strong York County now and into the future. As I call your name, please come up to the podium to have Angela Lauer, our Donor Services Officer, honor your commitment with our official Community Foundation pin. And then please stay standing together to the right so that we may honor the entire group of this year's 1749 Society inductees. We do have a few folks who could not be here with us this evening, so we certainly want to recognize them. Phil and Jane Andre, Alma J. Beck, Jill Bollinger, Ronald Dietrich, Mark and Ruby Schmidt, Sally Smith, Pete and Linda Tate. Oh, I'm sorry, Jill is here. Michael and Julie Wheeler, Charlie and Holly Wise, and William and Stephanie Zahner. And with us this evening, John and Jane Bailey, and Jill Bollinger. Sorry about that, Jill. Lisa Levin and Bruce Bushwick. Chloe Eichelberger. Forey and Barbara Eisenhart. And Scott and Sherry Snyder. I'm sorry. All right. Thank you for showing the love for the place you live. Please help me congratulate this year's new members of the 1749 Society. Before we move from this portion of the program, if you're a member of the 1749 Society, if you have a green ribbon on your name tag, or if you're wearing your YCCF pin, if you've left a bequest to your community through YCCF in your estate plan, please stand so we can recognize you. Thank you all for your commitment to creating a vibrant York County.
The York County Community Foundation represents like a spirit of giving back to the community where you live. People in York County care about their community and roll up their sleeves to help others more than any other community I've lived in.
I think we do have an unusually caring and decent group of people here in York. People smile, they say hello, and that doesn't happen in every town. That doesn't happen in most towns.
It makes me proud. It's a strong community, with people who are committed to making a better York County.
The Community Foundation draws its values from the people of the community. There's a reservoir here of generous impulses that you don't find in every community. And that's why being involved in a county-oriented foundation like this with a local focus is so valuable, because you can tap into that resource and do great things.
Philanthropy is important because it fills the gaps to help meet critical human needs in our communities. It provides a vehicle for donors to be able to support the causes they care about.
We don't always have a way of feeling as fulfilled as maybe we want to in life, but to be able to have an impact that extends beyond your lifetime is pretty meaningful.
Philanthropy is a way to express and show gratitude for your success, and also to create opportunities for others to succeed in the future.
I am inspired by the charitable giving that's associated with the York County Community Foundation. And all those donors have helped guide the work of our community based on what they were passionate about. But I also see York County Community Foundation as a place for problem solving and for community engagement. We have the opportunity, because of the generosity of many donors, to really leverage positive community change.
You don't really know 10, 30, 50, 100 years from now what's the best use for your money, but your intent can be preserved, and your capacity to continue giving can be preserved.
Community Foundation is really well informed about what's going on. There's a lot of studying involved in assessing the community and assessing community needs and putting that money where it's likely to do the most good.
We leverage research that's been done in the community, York Counts and other indicator reports, to help us identify what would be most impactful to address. So then the staff at the foundation works closely with organizations that may be able to deliver on programs or services that would address those community needs.
Everything that the foundation does is focused on York County and making York County a more vibrant place. So when you're able to help give effect to that impulse, you're helping your neighbors, people from all walks of life, all income levels, all age groups, because we all benefit from a vibrant community.
Thank you. Thank you to the stars of our video. I think they really captured the meaning of the Community Foundation really well. And now that you're all new fans, they've agreed to sign autographs after our program tonight, so don't forget to contact them for that. I want to also take a shout out to Sarah and our team for helping put that video together so well. It really will help us tell our story more broadly and widely. I was really struck by what Krista said really about not always knowing if our lives have an impact. And one of the things we'd like to do tonight is be able to help show our fund holders the impact that they've had on their neighbors. So I'm going to start by inviting Judy Simpson up to the stage. Judy, if you could come on up over here. Judy's been a longtime friend of the Community Foundation. She helped start several endowments for nonprofits as a founding for nonprofits at the foundation. She also partnered with Carolyn Steinhauser to help start the Women's Giving Circle at the foundation. She's committed her life to helping young people achieve their dreams through music and song. And she is a grant advisor to the William Simpson Fund. Jackson Graham is a 5th grader at York Area Regional Charter School. He never played a musical instrument before, but recently he was given the chance to learn the baritone horn thanks to a generous grant from the Simpson Fund to purchase instruments for the school. Jackson, would you please come up on stage? Jackson. So Jackson, this is your first year, right, playing? Terrific, congratulations. Well, you have something you want to say to Mrs. Simpson, I think.
Thank you, Mrs. Simpson, for donating the instruments and the money so I can play baritone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Judy. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Judy, for all you do for our community and for young people. And Jackson, you know, you can invite Ms. Simpson to your next concert. I'm sure she'd love to hear you play. Will everyone in the room who has ever received a grant from the Community Foundation, please stand or wave your hand. Please stand. All right. Terrific. Awesome. Thank you so much for all the good work you're doing in the community. And thank you to all the donors in this room who have helped support nonprofits' good work in our community. We really appreciate it. In 2017, 357 organizations received grants through the Community Foundation. We gave $5.4 million away, and in 5 years from now, I'd really like that to be $10 million. Imagine the impact we can have on our community by doubling the amount we have available to spend. All of you in this room can help make that happen. When someone sets up a fund at the Community Foundation, it's really like getting a 2-for-1 deal. Donors know that their gift's always going to support the charities they care about and the community that they love. Plus, they get to support the Community Foundation's work with Superintendent Holmes and his team at the York City School District to foster excellent schools. They get to support our work with municipalities across the county to create thriving downtowns, reduce stormwater runoff, and implement age-friendly policies. And you all support YCCF's efforts to advance economic development that benefits everyone. In 2017, with support from the York County Tourism Grant Program, we led a partnership with multiple York organizations to align and boost messaging about our beloved York County. The goal is to attract even more visitors, business, and new residents to York. And I'll add that we want to ensure that we are engaging and welcoming a diverse audience. The Community Foundation's vision is for a growing, prosperous, and united York County with unsurpassed opportunities for everyone to thrive. Towards that end, we awarded over $60,000 in the past year to reduce barriers to employment for Latinos, build skills among young people to embrace difference, and teach adults how to overcome their own bias. Our Embracing Aging program is reducing age bias by launching an anti-ageism training that has reached more than 200 people thus far. There is much more work to do, and YCCF will continue to be part of the solution. As many of you in this room know, change requires more than grant making. It requires leadership. And at the Community Foundation, that means 4 things. First, we have to set high expectations and ambitious goals. We have to be willing to take strategic risks. 3, we need to cultivate partnerships to reach better solutions. And 4, it requires being tenacious because systems change takes time. Tonight, you're going to hear about the importance of collaboration. In Stark County, they look squarely at their economic challenges, raised the alarm, and then aligned community efforts towards change. That may sound familiar to a lot of us in this room when the 2004 York Counts report called for a broad commitment to a shared economic development agenda. So tonight, I hope we spark a renewed commitment to action to move York County forward together. It is my pleasure to introduce the speaker tonight. Last year, you may remember that we had Antoine Van Akmel here. He was talking about communities around the globe who were working together to build their economies. Since then, Kevin Schreiber from the YCEA and Dominic Delicarpini and I have been talking about what are the possible next steps. This year, we wanted to hear from someone putting their ideas into action. So I reached out to the Fund for Our Economic Future, which is a collective of foundations in Northeast Ohio who are combining efforts to try and improve the economy there. They recommended Mark Samolczyk. Mark is the CEO of the Stark Community Foundation in Canton, Ohio. He is the board chair of the Fund for Our Economic Future in Northeast Ohio, and he is the former senior vice president of planning and development at Timken Company. He's also a graduate of the University of Notre Dame and the University of Denver, and has an advanced management program certificate from the Harvard University Graduate School of Business. Mark was a catalyst for conversations about Stark County's economic future, and he is a driving force for a common economic agenda called Strengthening Stark. Please help me welcome Mark Samolczyk.
Thank you, Jane, and thanks to everyone that's here this evening. It's quite a privilege. I was sitting here wondering how this computer was going to get from this chair up to this podium, and you did that effortlessly. It's really my pleasure to be here this evening to talk about some activities that we've had underway in Stark County, Ohio for, you could say 3 years, you could say 18 months, you could say 5 decades. And the story I want to tell you this evening is about how we as a community have come together to face some pretty sobering facts. Facts that we as a community foundation have presented to the community. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what we've learned as a result of the work that we have underway and share with you where we think this is going in the future. I've spent a lot of time with Jane today, from a breakfast meeting to other meetings during the day. We had a luncheon meeting. A lot of really good questions being asked by individuals that participated in those meetings. And I'd like to share some of that with you this evening. Before I do that, I'd like to kind of set the stage for the presentation. The work that we've done over the last 18 months or so is a white paper that's called Strengthening Stark. And that's what I'm going to share with you this evening, the sort of the how-to and where we're at this point in time. But before I do that, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of make a comparison between Stark County, Ohio, and York County, Pennsylvania. It's really rather intriguing. 2 counties. We show here a map, the state of Ohio. The little green space is Stark County. So we're just south of Columbus, just south of Akron. We're about an hour as the crow flies from Pittsburgh. You, of course, know your location. Figure out which is County A and which is County B. Total jobs in County A, 191,000. County B, 220,000. Median household income, 50,000 in one of the communities, 62,000 in the other. Poverty rate, 13%, 10%. Population, pretty similar, only a difference of about 40,000 people, over 400,000 people. Take a look at the demographics, the diversity of those populations. And last but not least is population growth rate. One of those counties is at a negative number, 0.4%, the other slight positive, 0.2%. I think you can figure out that County A is Stark County, Ohio. County B is your county. We also have 2 foundations. We're the only community foundation in Stark County. Jane has the privilege of leading the only community foundation here in York County. Let's take a look at those foundations. Again, A and B. One of them was founded in 1963, the other in 1961, about the same age. One of those foundations had grants last year of almost $10 million, the other a little over $5 million. Gifts to those foundations last year, Foundation A, $10.9 million, Foundation B at $8 million. Asset base, this is probably the giveaway, because Jane already talked about the asset base. One of those foundations has $282 million in assets, the other $155 million. If you look at the focus areas, almost identical. I have been pleasantly surprised, I've been almost amazed at the similarities between the communities. For those of you that participated in the earlier sessions today, I think some of those similarities came out. We'll talk a little bit about those. So, as two communities with two very strong community foundations, we find ourselves with similar situations and similar visions for the future. Jane talked a little bit about the role of a community foundation, and it's a really powerful role. And I've said, and Jane, I think you would agree with this, as I've talked to people in my local community, I've gone on record as saying that I think that I have the privilege of having the best job in Stark County, Ohio. I'd suggest, Jane, you have the best job here because of the opportunities that we have to work with individuals such as yourself, individuals, families, through philanthropic planning, and we have the ability, we have the privilege of seeing the impact that all of you have through your philanthropic giving, and it's a wonderful position to be in. We as leaders of community foundations have the ability through those foundations, through the support that you give us, we have the ability to convene communities to talk about issues that are common to all of us and to begin to do something about it. We as a community foundation have become, we hope to believe, at least we tell ourselves, that we're very definitely becoming a change maker in our local community. We're no longer simply just making grants. Although I will say that people think it's easy to give away money, it is not. It's a very challenging responsibility that we have in making sure that we're giving that money to the right organizations that will do the best good for the community. One of the nice things about the job that we have is that we really have no competition. And that's a good thing because we can then use the authority that's invested in us to really do good for our communities. And most importantly is that we exist, we as community foundations exist because of you. The communities that we represent, the organizations that we represent, were created by the community for the benefit of the community. So as we look at community foundations going forward, we have the opportunity to focus on collaboration instead of allowing organizations or communities to sort of exist in silos. We have the ability to align resources, align strategies in the communities for the betterment of the entire community. And probably one of the most important things that we do, certainly in Stark County and I'm sure here in York County, is that we are now moving very forcefully to grow the pie of opportunity instead of simply fighting over the crumbs. And that is so important because there is so much demand for our resources, whether it's here, whether it's in Stark County. We have to begin to engage in developing local economies so that we grow the pie rather than just exist with what we have. And ultimately, when we're successful, and we're starting to see that success in Stark County right now, and hopefully in 5 years I can come back and I can tell you all the wonderful successes we've had. But what we're working towards is creating a much stronger, much more vibrant community, a more prosperous community for all the residents of Stark County. You can do the same thing here. So let me tell you a little bit about our story. So that's sort of the background. There was an organization that was formed. It's an informal organization formed 3 years ago. August will be the third year anniversary. We call ourselves a Stark Civic Group. Started out with 7 individuals in the community who came together with the express purpose of trying to understand what we could do together to better impact the growth of our economy in Stark County. What we found through the white paper that has been named Strengthening Stark, that was really the call to action for the local community, what we found was that if we kept doing what we were doing, what we've been doing for literally decades, this didn't happen overnight, literally decades, the path that we were following resulted in Stark County, Ohio becoming smaller, older, and poorer. Not a good situation to be in. So we as community citizens said, we don't agree with this. We're not going to accept this. We're going to reverse those trends. So through the white paper, Strengthening Stark, we began a series of community conversations. I've had the opportunity to speak to groups like this. I've spoken to probably 36 groups in Stark County, well over 2,000 people. We've distributed the white paper to 70,000 households in Stark County. We're into our 3rd printing of the white paper. We keep running out of copies because the demand is so great for the content of that white paper that we started these community conversations, and it's all focused on how do we develop a countywide economic plan that will benefit everyone. And that's very important to recognize. We're looking at equal opportunity throughout the county. So that economic plan, we decided that it would be led by a local economic development organization. In our terminology, it's Stark Economic Development Board. There's a similar organization here, I believe. We also agreed that we couldn't do this ourselves. We brought in expertise from an organization named Jumpstart, based in Cleveland. Jumpstart started out as an organization that was focused on assisting high-tech entrepreneurs grow their businesses. They realized that they had so much more to offer to local communities, and they transformed their mission to begin focusing on helping communities such as ours, such as yours, to develop and then implement local economic development plans or local economic competitiveness plans. It's all about becoming more competitive. The work that we're doing now as we develop this plan is focused on 3 legs, and they're very important, each one of them as important as the other. It's focused on creating jobs, on preparing people to take those jobs, to fill those jobs, and making sure that those jobs are accessible to individuals that are in need of work. So it's creating jobs, preparing people for jobs, and making those jobs accessible. As we've continued this work over we published the white paper last August, so it's going on to almost a year. We've talked to well over 150, 160, 170 individuals in Stark County, small business owners, medium-sized business owners, community leaders, elected officials. We've gone the gamut of talking to these individuals. And what's happening now is that subcommittees are being formed almost on their own volition. We're not saying, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. We have groups of people coming to us saying, we want to be part of this. We know that we've made mistakes along the way, and one of the mistakes that we made, if we had to do it all over again, we would have chosen to get a more diverse group of individuals together to talk about the issues in Stark County. And we didn't do that, and it was called to our attention as we went through these interviews. And as a result, just as an example, we have a subcommittee. It's essentially a minority business council that has been created. So small, medium-sized business owners, minorities, are coming together on a regular schedule to talk about their specific needs in their businesses and what the community can do, whether it's the education community, the financial community, you name it, what they can do to assist them to grow their businesses. It's the importance of getting people to talk about similar issues. So let's talk a little bit about some of the learnings that we've had, and then we'll talk about some of the real opportunities that we see. I've already talked about the fact that we didn't make the organization, the individuals involved in the effort early on, as diverse as it should have been. It should have reflected our community, and it simply didn't. We made a mistake. If we had to do it all over again, we would spend a lot more attention on that. We invited funders into the conversation very early, whether it were private foundations, and we have a lot of those in Stark County, whether it was public money that came in to us through municipalities and so forth, the philanthropic community. We didn't engage them early enough in the process. We're starting to do that now, and we're starting to see some real dividends as a result of that. We weren't smart enough early on to figure out that this wasn't about us. It was really about the next generation, that we were sort of setting the table for the next generation. So as we began these community conversations, we found ourselves having to address questions from millennials as to why we're not talking to them. And our response was we should have. And now there's been a subcommittee formed of the millennials in the community to begin looking at some of these same issues from their perspective, which is, quite frankly, very different than my perspective, because it's their future that we're talking about. And if we had to do it all over again, we would continue to focus more energy on creating greater capacity in the community and marketing our efforts countywide. There are a few things that we discovered we did correctly, at least we think we did. We started small group of 7 that expanded to 15. We have probably 20 to 24 people around the table now. And so we grew that small group over time, and we also brought in more and better geographic representation as the group grew. We're a very informal group. We have no charter. There are no policy statements, nothing along those lines. There's no chairman. Informal. The one smart thing that we did is we hired a facilitator in our first meeting. The facilitator is a gentleman who, his name is Chris Thompson. He actually wrote this white paper, Strengthening Stark. And I first met Chris through my work with the Fund for Economic Future. He was a staff member there for a number of years. Most importantly, what we did as we went through this work is we focused on not opinions, and everybody has an opinion. What we did is we focused on the data, on the facts. And we tailored our report to really speak to community leaders across all the geographies of Stark County. And from what I've seen of York County, our geography is very similar. We've got rural areas, agricultural areas, very well developed areas within Stark County. So very similar again. And we decided early on that we were going to begin this process so we could learn together about the issues that we needed to address before we acted on those issues. We needed to understand what those issues were before we acted. So what's next for us? It's been going on now for almost a year. Next month, the month of June, we should have the plan finalized. Some elements of the plan are already under implementation. Jane and I had the opportunity to spend some good time this afternoon with a couple representatives from local area economic development agencies, and we were able to share with them the details that I won't share with you this evening, but there are details in place in terms of how we're going to address this very critical issue in Stark County. We're going to ultimately have a dashboard of our performance metrics online, so you can look at, it could be it will be on our Community Foundation website. It'll be on other websites across the county. So we'll be able to look at our performance. We'll be able to track the performance. Because those of you certainly that have been successful in your business careers know that unless you measure something, you're not going to change it. And so we are very definitely measuring our performance. We also are working on securing support, financial support, to continue this effort. And I received some very good news this afternoon that one of our private foundations has now stood up, actually just today, and has expressed a very strong interest in even more financial support than what they had provided previously, all because they saw the efforts that are underway, and they're really, really excited about the opportunities. And last but not least, in terms of what's next for the plan, we know that we have to keep developing the capacity to do the things that we need to do. So we need to get people educated about the needs and continue to grow that capacity moving forward. We're absolutely confident that we're going to be successful because we have a case study that is really right next door to us. Richland County, Ohio, went through a similar process. This happens to be a website for Richland. It's called Richland Vital Signs. And they chose, as part of their economic development activities, to look at 3 major areas, 3 measures and outcomes. If you could see this, and I don't expect that you can, but they're looking at measures related to economic development, measures related to workforce issues, and then measures related to entrepreneurship. What they have on their website, if you were to click on economic development, you would see a series of metrics that, again, are vital signs for how the community is doing in terms of its overall economic health. We're going to do something very similar to this. So this group, as it goes forward, it's expanding. We will continue to champion this economic plan. We are making sure that individuals in the community that want to be involved are getting involved so that we're sharing our learnings with them and bringing them along. We have community-based issues that we know we haven't dealt with yet, and we're going to deal with them. The Stark Civic Group is attending a seminar, a 4-hour seminar at the end of the month of June, presented by the Racial Equity Institute on this whole issue of racial equity and the biases that we have as we look at the diversity of our cultures, the diversity of the people that we have in our community. And certainly we're going to continue to support each other through this effort. We also know that there will be a few hurdles that we will have to leap over. We recognize from the outset that there were individuals, there were organizations in our community that feared losing the power, the authority they had in this whole economic development arena. We've recognized that. We've said we understand, but this is too important a mission that we're on to do anything other than move forcefully forward to implement this plan. We also recognize that there are going to be people in the room that will be naysayers. And it's pretty hard to change that. What will change that are the successes that we anticipate that we'll have. And of course, those naysayers may never buy into the vision that we have. We also know that we have some signs of progress that we're going to look forward to. In addition to the metrics, we have developed a very deeply held understanding in our community that the status quo that had been going on for 20, 30, 40 years simply wasn't acceptable anymore. And there is very definitely a commitment to sharing the responsibility for how we got to where we have arrived, as well as a responsibility to change things for the better. We also have an interesting phenomena that is going on. There are 3 large, I'll say large cities in Stark County, very similar to York. We have Canton, which is at the very center of the county, about 72,000 people. We have Massillon, Ohio, which is about 35,000 people to the west. To the east is the city of Alliance, Ohio, and about 25,000 people. Historically, those 3 communities have competed with each other, whether trying to get businesses to move from one community to the other, but there's been competition. It's not been good competition. And what we find through the shared dialogue that has gone on now is that those communities are beginning to, instead of competing, they're very much collaborating. And because they've recognized that the only way that they can be successful is if the community is successful. And that, if that's not an important learning, I'm not sure what is. So I will end with this quote from Henry Ford, and it is embraced by everyone in Stark County that has been working on this effort. Coming together is a beginning, and we very definitely have come together as a community. Staying together is progress, and we've illustrated that we have been able to stay the course through some pretty difficult times, through some pretty sobering information that we presented to the population, but we have stayed together, so we're progressing. And working together is success. And I can tell you after the amount of time that we've spent on this effort, we're beginning to sense, to taste that success, because we have organizations that are working together in Stark County that had never worked together before. And we've done it by this shared understanding of the issues that we need to address as a community. So coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. Having spent almost 24 hours in York County, this is my first visit here, I believe from what I've seen, the people that I've talked to, the kinds of questions that have been asked of me today, hopefully the responses that I've given you have illustrated that what we've done, you can do. You have all of the elements here. And with the right leadership and with the right level of commitment, this community, when I'm back 5 years from now, it's going to be a changed community, because you can do what we have done. I think we're probably 18 months to 2 years ahead of your community with this development of a shared economic development plan. We often talk in Stark County about the planets coming into alignment. I've heard that same message today. And without even being provoked, I heard people in those meetings that I've attended today talking about how the planets are aligning in York County, Pennsylvania. So I leave you with my best wishes. I leave you with a desire to help any way that we possibly can. And Jane and I have already had those discussions about potential next steps. But we'll be with you all along the way, and when you fall down and skin your knee, we'll be there and put a Band-Aid on it for you. So I thank you very much for your commitment to this. You're on to a really, really good thing, a really important thing. And as the mayor of Canton, Ohio likes to remind us, Tom is now, I think he's 70 years old. Relatively new in the mayorship of Canton, Ohio. But when he talks about strengthening Stark and the impact that it is having just on the city of Canton, what he reminds us of is it's not about us. It may not be about our children, but we should be thinking about our grandchildren. And so good luck. I'm going to follow what you're doing, and I know you're going to be a success. Thank you.
The laptop didn't vanish as seamlessly as it appeared. Thank you, Mark. When I first heard the Stark story this morning, that was before Mark put on his tie for us, I was struck by the amazing similarities, some of which you've pointed out, between your situation and ours. And if anything, Stark County was more challenged than York County has been and is. But the people of that county looked those challenges soberly in the eye and took them on. And they've done a lot in a short time. So we hope that Mark's remarks inspire more collaboration among our businesses, our universities, our government, our entrepreneurs, and all of our citizens. We've already achieved quite a lot, and we have in place a number of things that Stark did not when it got started, like our York Counts process under the able leadership of Tim Kinsley, where we have the indicators and the data, and our YORET program, where we are bringing in the next generation. So we've accomplished quite a lot and more with your remarkable philanthropy. It's no accident that last Friday, Give Local York crushed its $1 million goal, the first time ever. And it's no accident that a block away from here, we are rebuilding a first-class hotel, which is going to be a beautiful attraction to our downtown. And it's no accident that unlike any other central Pennsylvania community, we have a fully integrated health system with high quality. It's headquartered right here in this community. And it's no accident that we see all kinds of new venues like the one we're in this evening popping up all over our county. New shops, new restaurants, new businesses of all kinds. So we've already made a lot of progress, and we'll continue to do that, but the destination, as we approach it, moves even farther in the distance. So it's never going to be easy, and our journey's never really going to be done. But with your help, we can continue to be not just the steward, although that's important, and not just the funder, although that's critically important, but also the convener, the facilitator, the catalyst, and the idea generator. We're rolling down a track. The momentum is building. There really need to be no limits to what we can accomplish. So thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for everything you do for York County. Let's celebrate together at the reception, to which everyone's invited. Thank you for being here.